I'll talk about the caption of my video a little bit first. I said, owning your ugly. And I want to rephrase like ugly. I put ugly in quotation marks um, because I don't necessarily believe like these ugly parts of our lives that I'm going to talk about or these struggles are necessarily ugly things. I don't think that they're bad things. I think that they can be struggles, but I don't think they're necessarily ugly. What I'm going to talk about are things that I considered ugly and I was really embarrassed about for years and how like to own those things. So, like I said, give me a thumbs up or a heart if you guys are on so I can see who's on and or comment below so I can see. But let me go back to like owning your ugly. So it's really easy to get caught up in like the whole social media highlight reel. And when you see other people's lives, you're like, oh man, they live such perfect lives, or that girl looks so happy, or that girl looks like she has no problems at all. Um, or, you just assume things about other people. And a lot of you may know, some of you may not know, I grew up in like an alcoholic household. Um, and I can say that now with a smile on my face because I went through a lot when I was a kid. Parents going in and out of rehab, losing our childhood houses. That always really sucked. I learned a lot about what I did and didn't want out of my life, though, early on. And I for a long time, like in high school, I was really embarrassed of a lot. And then I also revolted. In high school, I did, and I never thought I would talk about this live or on my social media at all, let alone for my family to see. But I did a lot of drugs in high school. I did a lot of shoplifting. I skipped school. I went to parties, etc., etc. I barely actually graduated high school. I've talked about this a little bit before, but I barely graduated by like the skin of my teeth my senior year. I made up 8 credits the end of my senior year. A lot of people don't know that about me because I had a front on the whole time. I had a smile on my face. And a lot of time going through high school, a lot of people didn't know that I was going through stuff because I was really good at hiding it. And I was really embarrassed about what other people would think. And I mean, in high school, you're always kind of embarrassed. But even after that, for years, I didn't really talk about like my struggles growing up or the things I went through, or like how in high school, at one point during like high school, I was so uncomfortable in my body. I've dealt with like over 26 knee dislocations. Crazy fact about me. And at one point, I went to a doctor and he said it was because I was overweight. And oh, hi, Colleen. I just saw your post this morning and I loved it, by the way. But like I ended up taking diet pills, and I would take diet pills and drink instant breakfast, and that's all I would have. I like tried to like make myself skinny because I thought that like that would make me better or prettier or whatever. I felt really uncomfortable. These are things, like I said, I never thought I'd talk about, but I want to really talk about owning your ugly. And I'm not saying these things are ugly. I'm not saying these things are necessarily, I mean, they are bad things like shoplifting, doing drugs, the stuff that I did in high school. It wasn't good by any means, but they're not necessarily ugly things. I don't look at them as ugly things in my past, but I want to show you guys because I used to. I used to be really embarrassed about these things. A lot of my friends were going to really nice colleges after school or after high school, and I was really embarrassed that I wasn't going to college. I was really embarrassed that I had done a bunch of drug use. I was really embarrassed that I was working retail right after college and I didn't have any money and that I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was embarrassed a lot about a lot of stuff, but here's the deal. The thing is, when you own your ugly, when you own your struggles, when you go public, and you don't even necessarily have to go public, but you take away the power that those things have. Because here's the deal, we all go through shit. We all have mess ups, we all fail, we all do something that's not like appropriate, but we all have the opportunity to move forward. And if you talk about these things, or if you decide, you know what, this is just part of my story, this is just part of my journey, this isn't an ugly moment, it's just a blimp in like my entire life, you're owning that. You take away the power that those things have. You take away the power of other people's opinion. I was too worried about what other people thought. I was too worried about what my family or my friends or, strangers thought. Like, I didn't want people to know these things about my life. I didn't want people to know that growing up I struggled. I didn't want people to know that, I thought my family wasn't normal by any means. I wanted people to think I had a normal family life. I wanted people to think that I had it all together, that I was going to classes and that I wasn't doing drugs and that I wasn't shoplifting and all these other things. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be successful. I wanted all these things. And I was so worried about what other people thought that I was making myself unhappy. And I didn't realize that all it took was owning my shit and owning my ugly and owning the fact that, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to have struggles. It's okay to have fallbacks. It's okay to mess up. You can fail in life. Like, in fact, anytime you go after something, like with your whole heart, if you want something, you're gonna fail at it, and that's okay. You're gonna have bumps in the road, but you should use that as a comeback story and not as something you're ashamed of, because we all have those things. We all have those ugly moments in our lives, especially like back in high school. But I mean, I've had a lot since, I graduated too, 6 years ago, whatever that was. That's crazy to think about. But like, you have to own those things and not let those moments, those little blimps of bad things, like, control your entire life. Like, don't live your life regretting those things that you did in the past. Don't live your life like being ashamed of those things that you went through or those things that you did. Let those be like a blimp. Let those be a reminder. Turn your mess into your message. But really, like, when you stop worrying about what other people are going to think, and even if you talk about it first, or if somebody was like, oh, you didn't go to college, you're like, yeah, I didn't go to college, that wasn't for me. Or, oh, you did drugs, like, yeah, I had an experimental phase, or I was going through stuff. But like, when you own it and when you say, this is my message and this is what I went through, but you know what, that's my part of my comeback story, you're taking away like that tabooness. You're taking away like the power that those things have over your life. Like, they don't have power. Those memories, those experiences, whatever you went through, those things don't have power unless you decide to give it power, unless you decide to be uncomfortable about it, unless you decide to shame yourself for it. Because guess what? If you don't shame yourself for it, nobody else will. If you don't give those things power, nobody else will. Because like, at the end of the day, it's your choice to feel how you feel. It's your choice to decide that you're going to like rock your life and continue to rock your life, and like not let those ugly parts of your life define everything, because our failures, our falls, like, they just push us forward. You decide like right here and now to make a choice to either decide that you're going to rock it and like keep going, or that you are going to let those things define you. They don't have to, though. It's deciding. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Like, if you're happy, who cares? Screw everybody else. If you're happy doing what you're doing, or like if you've had those missteps, that's okay. Just know that you can own it and you can feel better for it, and that you are amazing and strong and capable of so much. And in fact, like I said, you just have to own it. Just say, you know what, I went through this, I did this, that's okay, but I'm taking the power away from the situation by owning my ugly. I'm taking the power away from the situation by saying, this does not define me. I define myself. I define my future. I define my results, my success, my worth. My self-worth is dependent on me, not my past experiences. And so I was I was listening to Audible this morning, and that was on my personal development, or it was kind of a takeaway I had from my personal development. I just really wanted to share it because I think so many times, like I said, we get caught up in that highlight reel and what other people are saying or thinking, or what we see or what we feel. And I know for years, like I said, I shamed myself for all of my struggles, for all of my downfalls. And it wasn't until I decided to own my story and own the ugly parts and not just skip over them and act like they didn't happen, when like my life started to seriously improve. And so I just hope that you guys got something out of that, and I hope you have a rad start to your Monday. I am gonna drink some more coffee, get my workout in, and get to work. So happy Monday, and I hope you have a great day.